You reach a certain morning. You know the kind, when even getting out of bed feels like wading through deep water. Not dramatic, not catastrophic, just heavy. A soft, sinking heaviness that tells you something in your life has slipped out of your hands, though you've been pretending otherwise. You sit on the edge of the mattress, rubbing your eyes, trying to gather yourself, and there's this quiet thought. You don't say out loud, "I can't keep doing this." You've spent years trying to shape things, hold things, fix things. You've spoken the right words, made the right plans, pushed in all the familiar directions. But lately the world seems to move around you without listening, like water slipping through your fingers, no matter how tightly you press them together. You reach for yesterday's clarity and feel only the cool slide of something that refuses to be held. There's a moment in every life when control stops behaving the way it used to. You push and nothing moves. You argue and nothing changes. You offer more of yourself, more energy, more effort, more willingness. And the situation stays exactly as it is, indifferent to your strain. It's like standing at the edge of the ocean, daring the tide to obey you, only to watch each wave erase your footprints, as if you were never there at all. You try to pretend this is temporary. A rough week, a strange season, something you'll push through with enough determination. But deep down, you feel the truth gathering, like whether life is no longer responding to force. Something in you is tired of carrying weight that was never really yours, responsibilities you inherited without choosing, expectations that grew like vines around your days, stories you've been holding together with sheer will, long after they stopped belonging to you. And in the quiet moments, the kitchen late at night, the car parked in the driveway, the breath you take before speaking, you sense a kind of humility rising. Not defeat, not failure, just the soft recognition that you've been holding on to things that were already drifting away. That nothing you grip stays still. That the more tightly you close your hands, the more quickly life slips out. You sit with that thought for a long moment, feeling the ache of it, the tenderness of realizing you can't steer everything. A small exhale leaves you. A pause. A space where you stop resisting. There comes a point when you begin to notice a pattern in your own suffering. It doesn't happen in a flash. It reveals itself slowly, the way a dark room brightens as your eyes adjust. You start to see that most of the ache you carry isn't born from the events themselves, from the way you press against them, from the way you keep insisting that life should be different than it is. You've felt it before, that internal tightening when a plan you depended on suddenly fractures. The interview that never led anywhere, the apology you hoped for but never received, the door you were sure would open, remaining shut no matter how gently or desperately you turned the handle. And instead of accepting the closed door, you stood there for months, holding the knob, whispering reasons, bargaining with silence. Resistance looks like effort, but inside it feels like strain. It's the quiet war the mind wages on reality. You replay conversations that already happened, trying to rearrange them into something kinder, clearer, more fair. You rehearse futures that dissolve before they even began. You carry around versions of people who no longer exist, hoping the world will return them to you unchanged. 1,000 tiny refusals to acknowledge the simple truth: what is happening, whether you agree to it or not. You watch the seasons shift without asking your permission. You feel the temperature of life change around you, sometimes gently, sometimes like a sudden wind that empties the trees overnight. And still, you cling to the old season as if your grip can stop winter from arriving. It's not the cold that hurts you. It's the refusal to wear the coat that waits by the door. You remember the letters you never sent, the ones where you tried to explain yourself, fix things, restore what was already finished. You held them in your mind like talismans, believing that the right words could reverse the turning of the world. But even those letters became heavy. They showed you, in their unsent state, how much of your suffering comes from trying to rewrite what has already been written. This is the quiet truth you begin to see clearly. Reality has never been the enemy. It simply unfolds. It arrives as it must. The pain begins when you brace against it, when you try to hold back the tide with a handful of wishful thoughts. And the strange, gentle inevitability is this: the moment you stop resisting what already exists, the pain that once felt immovable begins to soften, then loosen, then slip away. There's a moment, often quiet and almost unremarkable, when you begin to sense the strange truth beneath all your struggling. It doesn't arrive with thunder. It arrives the way dawn does, slow, patient, asking nothing of you. You're sitting with your own exhaustion, your own worn-out certainty, when something inside loosens just a little. A small release in the chest, a breath you didn't realize you were holding, and in that softness a realization begins to form: the more you tried to control life, the more it slipped through your hands. You look back on the years where you pushed every river, convinced the current needed your guidance. You fought every unexpected turn, every gust of wind that rearranged your plans, as if life's natural movement was some kind of insult. You thought peace would come when everything finally obeyed you. But peace kept its distance, waiting for something else entirely. Because peace doesn't arrive when the world behaves. Peace arrives the moment you stop trying to make it behave. It's unsettling at first. Surrender feels like stepping into deep water without knowing how far the bottom is. You're so used to steering, to tensing, to bracing for impact, that letting go feels dangerous. As if the moment you loosen your grip, life will spin out into chaos. But slowly, with the kind of patience only truth possesses, you begin to understand that life was never waiting for your control. It was waiting for your trust. Watch a river. It doesn't negotiate with the stones in its path. It doesn't argue with the bends or resist the narrow places. It moves as it must, not weakly, but wisely. It finds its way by not insisting on one. The river's strength is its willingness to flow. Strangely enough, the moment you stop demanding a straight path, you feel something similar awaken in you, a quiet intelligence that knows how to move without forcing, how to follow without fear. Even the wind shows you this. It passes through tall grass without trying to rearrange it. It brushes the world lightly, leaving space for everything to be what it already is. There's no urgency in the sky as it shifts from morning blue to evening gold. No grasping, no strain, just a natural unfolding. And somewhere in this witnessing, a deeper trust begins to grow. Not the loud, triumphant kind, the soft kind. The kind that says, maybe I don't have to hold everything together. Maybe life knows its own way. You start to feel the difference between the tight, narrow world of control and the wide, spacious world of acceptance. One contracts, the other opens. One exhausts, the other breathes. And finally, almost without trying, you whisper the truth you've been circling for years: peace begins where control ends. There comes a day, not remarkable on the surface, when something in you settles, not because life has become easier, because the pieces have fallen neatly into place, but because you finally stop pushing them. You wake with the familiar heaviness. Instead of bracing against it, you sit quietly and let it be. And in that small act of allowance, you feel the first hint of harmony returning, like sunlight slipping through clouds that were thick only yesterday. It's strange how peace re-enters your life. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't rush in. It drifts back slowly, the way the world smells different after rain. The storm didn't vanish because you fought it. The storm passed because storms pass. And you, having survived it without forcing the sky to change, now understand something you couldn't see before. Life has been teaching you to let go, not punishing you for holding on. You notice the shift in small ways. The problem that used to tighten your chest now feels softer around the edges. The person who disappointed you no longer stirs the same old ache. Even your own thoughts, once sharp and restless, move with a gentler rhythm, like branches swaying after a hard wind. Still aware of what they've endured, no longer resisting the air. Acceptance is not a dramatic revelation. It's a gradual warming, like a beam of sunlight finding your shoulder when you weren't looking for it. You realize the tree outside your window has weathered every season without demanding different weather. You realize your heart, though bruised, is still beating, still capable of softening after all its defenses have crumbled. You realize life has never been against you. It has only been asking you to loosen your grip, to stop dragging the past into the present, to trust the ground beneath your feet even when you cannot see the path ahead. And in this new quiet, you begin to see that trust isn't a decision, it's a returning, a homecoming to the part of you that always knew how to flow with life instead of against it. You feel a calm certainty growing, steady as a tide. You do not have to force what is already unfolding. For the first time in a long while, you exhale, and nothing in you braces for what comes next. There comes a point on this path where even the idea of path fades, where you are no longer moving toward anything, nor away from anything. You are simply here, breathing, present, unburdened by the old belief that life must be shaped, steered, or conquered to be lived well. It happens quietly. You stop listening for signs. You stop searching for lessons. You stop measuring yourself against what you used to be, or what you once hoped to become. And in that absence of effort, something deeper rises, a stillness that does not depend on circumstances, a peace that asks nothing of you, not even understanding. You sit within yourself the way one sits by the ocean at dusk, not trying to predict the waves, not waiting for the horizon to reveal some secret, just feeling the rhythm of existence move through you, as natural as the tide, as ancient as breath. You realize, in a way that is more felt than thought, that you were never separate from that rhythm. You were never the one directing the flow. You were always the water, learning to recognize itself. This is the quiet being, not a state you achieve, but a settling into what has always been true. Your hands, once clenched with effort, now rest open in your lap, not in surrender to defeat, but in recognition that nothing needs to be held so tightly. Your mind, once crowded with intentions and strategies, grows spacious, like a room with its windows open to still air. Thoughts drift in, drift out, without demanding your allegiance. You watch them the way you might watch birds passing across the sky. Present, but never yours to keep, and the world around you seems different, though nothing has changed. Colors soften, sounds lose their edges, people appear less as obstacles or obligations, and more as passing faces in the same river of being. You feel no urgency to fix anything, no pressure to become anything. You discover that peace was not hiding in the future you chased. It was waiting in the space created when the chase ended. In this stillness, life becomes astonishingly simple. You breathe, you exist, and it is enough. Nothing to force, nothing to hold, nothing to overcome. Only this soft, unbroken presence, a presence that whispers, without words, you are already home.